Hello again, YouTubers. Doing another little DIY project on my 2013 black diamond Chevy Avalanche. And I'm doing this video because although there are other videos about replacing the daytime running light bulb on a 1500 series Chevy truck, I haven't seen any on specifically to the 2013 Chevy Avalanche, so I figured, what the heck, this isn't going to be terribly complicated. Might as well throw a video out there because there are a couple of points to be made here that are going to be useful for the person who is a first-timer doing this. This is actually my second round of replacing this bulb, and it's a little bit fiddly, it's a little bit annoying, and so it's worth giving you a couple of tips on what to watch out for in doing this. We'll say up front, I'm not going to be replacing, or I'm sorry, not replacing, I'm not going to be removing this headlight in the sense of fully off the car, because to get it off the car involves quite a bit. But I am going to unbolt it from the side behind the fender, and also from the front, so that I can pry it out a bit. And I'm also going to loosen up these top nuts on the grill, again for pryability purposes, I guess, so that I can pull the lens out far enough to get my hand down behind it and remove the bulb and replace it. So I will say that it's kind of a tight fit back there even when you take these nuts off, so I have medium-sized hands myself, and so if you have large hands or thick wrists, you might struggle with this procedure and might have to take the car apart a little bit further to get this lens out enough to either get behind it or take it out completely to get at the bulb. Again, that all depends on the how big your hands are, really, and so that's it. So don't know how well this can show up on video, but the nose of the car is filthy. It's got hundreds of dead bugs splattered on it, and that's because we've had a dry spell in this area, and so we're under water restrictions and we're not allowed to wash our cars. Of course, I could go to a professional car wash place, but I have antennas on the roof that are a pain in the butt to remove, and so I don't take the car to a automated car wash, and so that's that. Anyway, I'm gonna put this camera, I'm gonna stop recording, put the camera on a tripod so I'm hands-free, and I'll show you the first step of getting at this light bulb. And oh, by the way, we're going to be replacing that bulb with this. Now, there are many people that opt to do LEDs because they last a lot longer, and these bulbs are a pain in the butt to replace. And as I've said, I've already gone through and replaced one set already, so it looks like I'm getting an average of about 3 years for these bulbs. Thought about LED, but I don't know. Went with the traditional bulb instead, and I can't really explain why, I just did. So these are the famous 3157s, supposedly Sylvania long life. I have already done the left side because that's the side that was out, and I'm replacing the passenger side now simply because I would expect that this bulb will go soon, so might as well proactively replace it because the car does look a little bit silly with only one daytime running light lit, which was pointed out to me. Actually, I became aware that the light was out because someone flagged me at a stoplight and said, "Hey, that truck looks so great, you should replace that, you got a bulb out in the front, you should replace that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks, okay." So that's how I found out that it was out. Anyway, I'll be right back after I set the camera on a tripod, and we'll get to work. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so we are going to remove this nut, this nut, this nut, this nut, and this nut to be able to pry the headlight lens off enough to get at the rear of the lens. And as I said before, we also have a nut that we're going to have to loosen over here, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there are really only three things that I wanted to mention here that may save you guys some grief, and that is, after you remove these two nuts off the lens, you may or may not notice that there's this little metal clip underneath the plastic connector for the lens. You want to set that aside safely because it's in a position where it can very easily drop down into the innards of the nose of the car, and then it's going to be a royal pain to get it back. And that's experience talking, because it happened to me on the driver's side where I wasn't paying attention, and it was actually this clip on the opposite side that fell down behind, and it took me 15-20 minutes to fish out. So I'm going to save you a little bit of time and aggravation. Keep your hand on this thing so it doesn't drop down, and then set them aside so that they don't disappear. In fact, I'm going to move these off behind the camera to a little work table. And then I'm going to take this off, this nut off, and that nut off. And that's just so that we can pull this back as needed in order to pry the lens off. So, if you notice, when I pull, it doesn't move that much. And the reason that it is not moving hardly at all is because there's a nut down here behind the fender that you also have to loosen. And in order to loosen that, you have to go into the wheel well and remove the wheel well, partly remove the wheel well lining, and then get in there with a socket wrench to loosen that nut. And that's the third point that I wanted to make you guys aware of, and also save you a little bit of aggravation. When you go to take this nut off from inside the wheel well, I shouldn't say take it off, because you should not completely remove the nut. Loosen it, back it out an ample amount so that it is well free of a little plastic tab that is associated with the lens, so that you can pull the lens forward, but don't fully remove it, because it will be a total pain to realign this lens and that nut, just based on the awkward position that you're in underneath the fender. So back it out maybe a 1/4 of an inch or so, but don't fully remove it, so that when you go to replace the lens in its proper position, the tab, which is tined, it's got a gap back here, similar plastic tab, but except that it's got a gap in the back for the nut, will slide behind the nut. You'll be able to retighten it and very easily get things to line up, whereas if you had removed that nut, then it may fight you when you go to replace the nut if you completely remove it. Okay, so that's what I want to show you in the front. I'm going to try and show you on the video what I'm talking about on the wheel well. It's not going to be easy, since that will have to be I'll have to be holding the camera, but let's see how well we do. So again, I'm going to stop the video here and try and get set up for the wheel well work and show you that next. Okay, hang on. Back once again. Okay, what we're going to be doing is we need to remove that little nut, 7mm, at the bottom of the liner, and we need to also remove that nut from the top of the liner, and then remove those plastic whatever they're called, 3 of them. So I've got the tool for that. Oop, wrong side. I've got the tool to pry them off, and so I'm going to start by removing the nuts. I don't think that there's a right or wrong order here. And as you can see, I've cocked the wheels over to make access a little bit easier. Sorry about that. Set that aside so it doesn't disappear. And of course my light goes over. That doesn't help. And this is the top one. And where's my pry bar? Nice that my light won't stay in place. And there's one here. You can probably get away with not removing this, but I'm going to remove it for convenience sake. Well, it popped through. I'll have to deal with that. So now, where's my flashlight? Hang on a second. I'm not going to show you unscrewing the nut. I'm just going to show you where it is, and that we're going to loosen it. Now it's right there where the bright of my flashlight is. That's the nut that we have to loosen and back out but not remove. There's a plastic tab there that is attached to the light lens. You don't want to break that off, so I'm going to loosen that. And again, I don't think I can do this because I need a third hand, so you're just going to have to trust me that that's what I'm doing. Okay, once again I'm going to stop the video and I'll be back when I'm finished. Okay, back once again. Alright, I dropped my two screws from the side panel, or the wheel well panel rather. Set them safely aside so they don't disappear. Okay, so the next part of this is to pull the lens forward far enough so that I can reach behind the lens down below the low beam. Or is that the high beam? I think that's the high beam. Anyway, reach down behind the light to get at the bulb for the daylight bulb, and it's down here. This is the one. This is the blinker. This is the daylight running light. So that's what I'm going to do. So you'll notice that this thing pries away now. Again, it's because I loosened that tab on the side, and it's still pretty tight to get my hand back there. And that's what I mean by, if you've got big hands, it's going to be a challenge for you without taking this further apart. And there it is. Okay, this is the bulb, and pull that out like so, and the new bulb goes in the same way. And it's plastic, but there are slots. Actually, it shouldn't matter, right? But there we go. Solid. And now we have the joy of trying to get our hand back there to put it back in. So here we go. Of course, it only goes in one particular way because it locks in place. That hand's not going to do it. I'm going by feel, looking for this thing to seat flat. That hurts. I think that's it. I think I just seated. Yeah, it's in there. Now I have to turn it. And the turn is counterclockwise as you're facing the truck to lock it in place. Now I'm going to tug on it a couple times. It's not coming loose, so it's good. So, of course, that means in order to unfasten it as you're facing the truck, it's a clockwise turn to unlock the light bulb to get it out. So then we just put everything back. And here's where we need a little bit of luck. And I'm sure that it's what it should look like. Now, before we button anything up here, we have to look behind the fender to make sure that that little plastic tab is properly aligned on the nut in the wheel well, and it is. So, success. I will tighten that wheel well nut last. And so now we can go back to the process of, or not back, but go to the process of reassembly. And for reassembly, since I could be accused of being a little anti-seize happy here, but since these clips do like to rust and get a bit sticky, I'm going to put anti-seize on these I guess nut screws, are they? I don't know. So that they will not be that difficult to get off the next time, because there will be a next time. And theoretically, if you use a LED light instead, there might not be a next time. However, in case you don't know it, LED lamps can fail too prematurely to their projected lifespan, whatever that may be, whether it's 10 years or 30 years or whatever the hell it is. They go bad too, so you might get a bad LED that fails well in advance of its advertised age, and that's just crap happens. So there's no absolute guarantee even with LED lights. They do run cooler, as is well known, and that's something to be said for those lamps. But we're in an outdoor environment, and is running cooler really critical to those lamps? My instincts tell me no. That is not a major factor, and you all watching this video can feel free to disagree with me. Now, put this clip back on, and it goes underneath the plastic tab like that. And then one more. And this one goes behind the plastic tab too, like so. And then we tighten all this up. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned it before, these nuts are all 10 millimeter, including the tab nut in the wheel well, all 10. No need to go crazy here, and we're not going to worry about torque settings. It's a hot day today. I'm sweating like crazy. Okay, we can't fit our little impact wrench in the wheel well, so this one we have to do by hand and tighten accordingly. And I want to get it with that one button that popped through the wheel well covering. I forgot about that. But I don't think you guys need to see that. You've got the gist of what needs to be done here, and the 3 important points, which is be aware of these metallic clips or inserts, whatever the hell they are, because if you're not paying attention, they'll fall down into the nose of the car and you'll have a devil of a time finding them and getting them back. And also, you can't forget to loosen the nut inside the wheel well, behind the wheel well cover, but don't remove it. Just loosen it enough so that the tine or the tab on the light lens slides behind the washer on that nut inside the fender, so you can retighten it properly. And that's it. So I guess 3 more years we'll do it again. I hope you found this useful, and if not, then sorry, but it is what it is. Thanks for looking anyway. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.